with anything, especially in the Langford editing room, the like
If
some
the
things
movie is more
could have
than
been
90 seconds long, it's too long.
like Chris would have been like, listen, less dying, let's extend this threesome a little bit longer.
You're goddamn right.
Let's do that a little bit longer, but I don't need to see his hand get cut off. Sleep, work, die, repeat. We're talking movies. We're talking Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson, Stephen Yeun, and Naomi Aki. Written and directed by Bong Joon-ho. Chris, why don't you just do some rock, paper, scissors, and I'll just shoot the loser.
Listen, even on my 17th go-around, I hate dying.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? We're going to be talking about the recent release, Mickey 17. By the time you listen to this, we're about a week out from its premiere. Scott, take us away.
Yeah, like this was an interesting film. I'll say that. Because you literally can take whatever you want out of this. Like whatever meanings, whatever you see, whatever political or non-political.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
Conversation you want to have. And I think now that, you know, us being Canadians and what's kind of going on.
We don't want to be too political because we found that when we are too specific about certain political topics or entities, YouTube tends to really reduce our reach. But on the topic of things that we shouldn't do, but things you should do is go to Apple and give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, leave a film you think that we should do, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe wherever else you're listening, your friend's radio. I don't know how you subscribe to that, but you can do that too. Anyway, okay, sorry, Scott. I just wanted to do a little housekeeping there.
Yeah. I like it. I like it when you're
You
working.
like housekeeping? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I do like housekeeping.
Well, Phil, I've got a bathroom that needs cleaning, so come on over.
Not your bathroom, buddy. Not your bathroom.
Yeah, no.
That ain't mold.
Shit everywhere.
You're like, you got shitty opinions online. I can only imagine what your bathroom looks like.
But yeah, like I enjoyed the film. Like I think Robert Pattinson did a really good job, and I think visually it is super striking. Like I like the cinematography in this film. Like it kept my interest, right? And it was fun. Like for something that could have been like super serious, like I found myself chuckling a whole lot during this film.
Did you find it long at all? It's 2 hours and 17 minutes. Like it's definitely a longer film in its runtime. Like, did you get bored at all, or
the only time I noticed the runtime was the fact that it was 46 minutes into the film when you had the title card. Because once it came up,
that's a long cold open, eh?
Yeah, like because once it came up, I looked at my watch and I'm like, holy shit. It's like almost an hour in before we saw the Mickey 17. But yeah, that was like, to me, that was the only time like the runtime was like noticeable.
Okay, so you were fine with like
I was just like, obviously it could have, you know, like with anything, especially in the Langford editing room, the like
if
some
the movie is more
been,
than 90 seconds long, it's too long.
Like Chris would have been like, listen, less dying, let's extend this threesome a little bit longer.
You're goddamn right.
Let's do that a little bit longer, but I don't need to see his hand get cut off.
I mean, a threesome with, like there is, for those listening, there's like an almost threesome or the start of a threesome, but with oneself. So is that also sort of like mutual masturbation? Because like the other person is you?
Well, I think it got there.
That's
at
the
one
most
point.
narcissistic threesome. Actually, the most narcissistic threesome would be 3 of oneself.
I don't know. I know that's your dream, but I don't know. I don't know though. But yeah, like I enjoyed this film, and it was fun, right? Like that's what I took out of this was I had like a lot of fun, and it can go so many ways with this. Like I
Should we
don't
talk
know
about
if
the
you
threesome again, or
yeah, that could have gone like it could have turned into a foursome because that we were
yes, actually, when I can't remember the actor's name. When she comes in, I was like, oh, is that how this is going to go down? We're going to have 2 Robert Pattinsons, or actually 2 Mickey Barneses, and then the 2 ladies. Is that how this is going to go down, or what?
Yeah, boy.
yeah, but it didn't happen. But then they started try to make concessions. Like they were like, listen, you can have this one, I'll take that one, right? And then it's like, no, I want this one.
You
So
don't need to. You don't need to.
yeah.
Actually, so before we get too into, I do want to do just like a quick plot summary that you see in the trailer as well, in case you're not aware of this. Because again, I feel like even though this thing had an $80 million marketing budget, like I personally do not feel like there was a lot of advertising around this film, and we can talk about that in a second. Essentially, Robert Pattinson plays Mickey Barnes. He signs up for reasons that you'll see in the film. He signs up to be an expendable on a space exploration or during space exploration, which is exactly what it sounds like, except it's like 3D printing him over and over and over and over. And so they use him obviously for all the dangerous jobs or to develop vaccines and stuff like that. And then at one point, there's 2 of them, and then there's some challenges that arise from that. And then there's a bunch of subject matter about like, morality around colonization or science and that type of stuff. But like, that's general. It's a sci-fi film where you have a replicated human, and then kind of everything streams from that. Is that? Do you think? Is there anything else you think the audience needs to know in order to talk about this film, or Scott?
No, I think that's pretty much
Because I don't want to give too much. I don't want to give anything away. Just by the time you're listening to this show, it's only been out 1 week, like 1 week, really. So
yeah, and I do think this is going to be like I don't know if the weekend projections are even out now when we're recording this, but
so
I
on
do
the
think
as of Sunday morning, when I looked, Sunday morning, the weekend that this opened, so that would be the 9th. I've got a box office of 26.4 million. Obviously, Sunday still needs to happen, so we don't have the full weekend. But as of right now, at time of recording, we have a $26 million opening against a $118 million budget plus an $80 million marketing budget. So you got you're about in the hole of 200 million to start. That's where we're at.
okay. But yeah, I do think this will be kind of a word of mouth thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if this gets later on in the year, if this gets kind of re-released, because I do see some potential like Oscar consideration for next year's Oscars.
Okay, where are you? This is not going to show up at the Oscars. Maybe,
I think
maybe some
cinematography.
maybe some technical stuff around the creatures or the creepers as they're called in the movie. But unfortunately, I think it's way too early. It is unfortunate. I think so. Okay. Before I get too off track here, I'll just
you're like, before I totally shoot down every concept and idea Scotty has, because
well, I think so. You've said how like your top line of what you thought of the film. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I felt like a lot of the subject matter. So again, it talks about like what it's like to be an invading species, the morality around like replicating people. There's a really fantastic performance by Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, playing Kenneth Marshall, who may or may not be similar to a current sitting politician who has a bunch of people who like him who wear red hats. That's all I'll say. I think his performance is great. There is a lot of great acting performances. I just felt like the film is kind of bloated. I thought that, it tried. I mean, I think maybe it tried to deal with too many topics all at the same time, and it doesn't really land any of them well. Again, it's not as bad as The Monkey. And again, like I didn't want to leave, but I was just sort of like disengaged at times. So sometimes I was like hyper engaged, and then other times I was sort of just disengaged. And like Bong Joon-ho often does deal with these subject matters. I mean, he's did Parasite, he did Okja, Snowpiercer. I mean, Mother and the Host they don't have as many of the same topics as like say Snowpiercer and Okja and Parasite. Again, around class and the rich and exploitation and environmentalism and stuff like that. Yeah, man, like other than the acting performances, this is kind of a meh. Like this is a hard 5 out of 10. Seriously, for me. Yeah.
I don't count that high, so I don't go to 10.
You have to, the 5 out of 5 scale, like it's too tight, man. Like, because like a 3 is over the threshold, like 2.5. Anyway, yeah, this is a 5. Like it's fine. It's a fine. Do you think people should see this in the theater? Yeah, that's not good.
No, I'm trying to think, because there was like when I watched it in theater, I think there was like a hiccup with the sound. Because it was the sound, it was only for like a minute or two. The sound was off in terms of the screen, so it kind of disjointed me for a little bit.
Okay.
Because at first we thought it was literally somebody screaming like in our aisle, right? Because like it just kind of came off of one speaker, so we're kind of distracted there. But like I think it is, how do I put this? It is something that if you do watch in the big screen, I don't think you're going, like, unlike Chris, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because I think going in, like, because this has so much layers and you can take it however you want to take it, you're going to get something out of this film. Right.
Okay, but hold on. Okay, so I would agree there's multiple layers, there's kind of multiple subject matter that's being discussed. Why does being in the theater help that? Versus waiting for it to come out on the screen?
Well, because I think the theater experience is still like an experience, right? Like, to me, seeing other people's reactions, seeing when they walk out, like seeing the discussions happening, right? Like that's all part of it. Like when people are over.
So did you see discussions?
Yeah, some my son, I went with my son for this. I didn't know about the threesome. I really should start researching this shit more before I bring my kids, because it's like the awkward us looking at each other for a minute, like,
and you're like, that's how babies are made.
Yeah, with yourself. But he did not enjoy this movie at all. He thought it was stupid, but he fucking loved The Monkey, right?
How do you live in a household with someone like that, man? How do you like, are you like, listen, if one more bad review and we're taking your last name away, or what?
No, but they that's the thing, right? Like we started having a conversation about it, right? Like the stuff that I saw in it and the messages they were saying in it, like, straight went over his head. He didn't get it, right? Like, he's 13, I don't think, and he's not very political at all. So he didn't get it. He really didn't get like what you were saying in terms of Mark Ruffalo's performance, like who the imitation kind of seemed to have been.
And if you have any doubt that first off, again, Kenneth Marshall's characters wear red hats, and then Mark does a little dance, maybe a little dance that you could also set to YMCA perchance, and it's a bit identical to a current sitting individual who has a bunch of followers with red hats. So like, Mark is very good. He is very, I would say it's a beautiful performance. Fantastic. One of the best Mark Ruffalo performances I've ever seen in this current film.
You blew it!
You literally just don't want them not to like put this episode in the any kind of algorithm. You're like, I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna sound like them. I'm gonna do the hand gestures. I'm literally spray painting my black hat red.
I've got a tan in the middle of winter here in Canada. Anyway, yeah, Mark. I thought Mark was great. So he didn't pick. So your son, what you're saying is your son was really just watching a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, and that's all he got out of it, right? And then I think because it is a slow burn kind of thing, right, which deals with a lot of pseudo political topics that he kind of just didn't get, but he would I still appreciated his commentary on it and his opinion on it, just like
that's because you're a good parent.
Your...
You know me.
Well,
Listen,
yeah,
I didn't raise
also...
you to have such shitty opinions of movies.
Now there, yeah, like I do the same thing with you, right? Like I appreciate your opinion. Like I'm not one to be like I'm right, you're wrong. Like I like meeting in the
actually,
middle.
let's a little sidebar about that, because you did do that, and it was called the Oscars, and then you went out in a great ball of fire. And
Chris, I don't know if you heard this.
100%. 100%. I had the best predictions. Only the best predictions. Always good, always right, always accurate. Chris won the Oscars.
Well, I just want to say, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
This clock's broken 3 times a day, more than regular clocks.
Will you clam up?
But our producer is asking a question. Do you think there's a possibility of a sequel?
Okay, so first off, this film is actually based on Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. So it's based on a novel. This is crazy though. They basically made the film or started working on the film before the book was even released. Like this is where studios are when we're talking about like picking up like intellectual property. And so there is actually already a sequel in the novel called Antimatter Blues. You could do a sequel, but I don't think you're going to. Not when you fucking blow $200 million.
Well, we don't know where this is going, but
it ain't gonna.
Okay,
hold on. Do you think this is gonna make its money back? Let's even the 200 million, let alone the reality that's got to do about 4.
Like I said, there's a possibility because we are in the slow burn, right? Like you're not gonna get the major tentpoles till May. So these films do have the opportunity for kind of a longer theatrical
like a slow
run.
drip, kind of like people just are like, hey, what are you doing on a Wednesday? Let's go watch a movie.
Yeah, or let's go on Tuesday, right? Like I can see this is perfect, like Tuesday cheap night kind of film, right? But in terms of the question of the sequel, there is a blink or you'll miss it moment in this film. That one of the screens in the cloning room does state Mickey 1 was never found. So the original Mickey,
like the not the clone, like the OG Mickey.
Yeah, he was never found because he was off in space. Remember, he was outside of space, but he was never found.
So what? He's just he's lost in space.
But that's the thing. You could technically now have the conversation where if Mickey 17's living this life, and the actual original comes in, whose life is it?
Boom. And that's the big question. And that wraps us up for this show. No. That's I'll be honest. I don't think so. Because I don't think it's going to. So again, it needs to break 200 million. Like that's what's has been spent on this film is like $200 million. Remember, the box office is going to take half of those box office returns. So you're into like $300-400 million that this film has to make to be profitable, which I am willing to say right now, right here, right now, not going to happen. So I do not see a sequel coming out of this unless it's by like a totally different director, totally different IP. Like they go and they get, and they may already own Antimatter Blues, which I wouldn't surprise me. Because I mean, if you are going to put this kind of money behind a film and you're like, hey, there is a franchise. So I don't think so. Again, I think that this
But
film
there's still the streaming numbers. There's still like so other metrics, right?
Yeah,
Like
and on the topic of streaming, so this is my take on this film, is that like it's not awful. Like I said, it's a 5 out of 10. I think that there's some interesting subject matter that's like worth investigating when it comes to, again, like all those kind of progressive topics. And the one thing I would say about seeing it in the theater is if you watch a movie in the theater like a fucking grown up, like you're supposed to, and stay off your bloody phone, you're going to pick up on more of this stuff because you are focused, where when you're two screening at home, maybe not so much. But this film felt like a Netflix movie. Like with the color palette, like there's just something. Go ahead.
Wait, I'm just going to say this is a Warner Brothers film, so at least get the streaming service, right? It's a Max.
No, but it specifically felt like Netflix, not just as the streaming, but like Netflix has like a feel. Like there's even YouTube videos about like, how like an A24 film feels and stuff like that. Like this felt like I was watching a really long pilot for a Netflix TV show. And maybe it should have been. Maybe it should have been shorter and should have been a pilot, or for a, like, I actually think that this world that they've built, if they turned it into even a limited series, probably would have done better on Netflix. And it probably also would have only cost $200 million. So would have got a whole series already sold to a streaming giant. I don't really think you need to see this in the theater, even for the sci-fi heads. I just think that it kind of fails to launch in a lot of places. I mean, there's some interesting stuff and there's some funny things. There's some cool fight scenes. Again, the big thing about this film that works are the actors. Like all the actors are doing a fantastic job. Like Robert Pattinson is amazing. Naomi Aki is great. Stephen Yeun, Mark Ruffalo, and Toni Collette. Like, everybody's doing a great job with the acting, which I very much appreciate. And one thing I will say about like kind of like progressive representation DI in film is, what I liked about this is like, so Naomi is obviously, she's a black actor as Nasha, but the character is just like a kick-ass character who happens to be black. It's not like there's your black character, there's your Asian character. Like all the people, you could just put different actors in those roles that are good and they'd be great. And I think that is actually how you do representation properly, is you just have like blind casting and you just get the best people for those roles. Like she's badass. And like, I really enjoyed her character a lot. Actually, again, like Stephen Yeun is super funny as Timo. Is it Timo or Timo? Timo?
I thought they said Timo.
Timo, yeah. Like he's super funny. And it's just, and there's some, like, again, there's some interesting setups where it's like, hey man, sorry, but like I gotta kill you and take some photos for the loan shark, but like they're just gonna reprint you anyway, so let me chop you up with this like double-bladed chainsaw. Like there is some, and that's why I'm not just like totally discounting this thing. Like again, it's cheap night, you want to go through the movie theater, sure. I don't think that it's awful in the theater. It's just a very long time to sit in a movie theater for a film that's kind of okay.
Now I do got one question kind of to revert to you, just random
I was
question.
joking that you don't need to have a threesome to have baby, Scott. That's not.
No, but it is on the topic of the threesome. Because you watched
my favorite topics.
I know you watched Challenger. This threesome, or the Challenger threesome?
This one. The Challenger threesome, not even a threesome. It's three people kissing. That's what that is. Like, and then it ends. It's the most like vanilla, and the worst part about the challenge.
So you're like, because there's the close-up crotch grab, it does kind of consider it.
Boom, exactly. You know where they're gonna go. The biggest problem with the Challenger threesome is that the film was like marketed or like not pitched, but like that was like the big talk, right? Like that was like, oh, Zendaya's doing a threesome, and then they did that. If they just wouldn't have talked about that, I think that scene would have been a little more salacious. But you're expecting like some like crazy like Cornhub kind of action, and you're like, wah, 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 bah, 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 bah.
Oh, you're talking about like in Blonde?
Yes. Lots of stuff in Blonde was really good, as much as people hate it. So this sucker's, it's sitting. I'm starting to really not believe in the critics from Rotten Tomatoes, even though, again, this is why we want you to go to Apple Podcasts and give us a review or at least a 5-star rating, because we are trying to be Rotten Tomatoes critics as well. It's got a 79 from them. It's got a 73 from the audience. I am wondering if that audience is kind of some, like, who do you, like, when you looked at the crowd, when I went in the afternoon about 3 o'clock or 3:45 or something like that. There's a lot of like white dudes. So I'm thinking they were more like sci-fi heads. Like the comic book guy. Actually, there was someone in my aisle that very much could have been the comic book guy from The Simpsons. So
no, I will say
what
that
time did you go?
I went to a 4 o'clock showing on a Saturday.
Oh, it is March break. This film also opens during March break in Canada, Ontario, Canada. So there might be some younger people too, right?
Yeah, like mine was mostly
20-year-old ladies.
Pretty much, yeah.
Really?
Much.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all mostly female demographic when I went.
So you think they were there for Robert?
Or just the story? I don't know. Because I do think like this can be a 4-quadrant film. Like I do think there's something for everybody.
Do you want to explain what that is for not everybody that knows what a 4-quadrant film is?
I'm not as smart as you. I just know
it's just fucking throwing out like film marketing.
It's something for everybody, like for every demographic.
Yes, it's male and female, 1-2 quadrant, and then over and under certain demographic. I think it might be 30 or something like that. Right?
Yeah, the age.
Yes, it's basically it's a little something for everyone.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. I do think because you do have like the you do have the
is it cheating
humor
if your partner sleeps with a copy of you?
Well, it depends on which one it is. Like to Mickey 18, no, but to Mickey 17, yes.
Right. Lots of so that's also what makes it a bit of a family film. Talk about that type of stuff. Robert Pattinson also and again, obviously, like I think we kind of gloss over the fact. So he plays multiple Mickeys. And obviously like when Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 they're together. So he is doing again that dual purpose role, playing 2 characters of himself in a film. And I think he pulls it off great. I know that there was a interview with him where he kind of, made it seem like his motivation on some of that stuff was around like kind of like Ren and Stimpy, and like how I think he actually even took some of the characters from Jackass was his original take. And then the director's like, no, don't do Steve-O or whatever.
Yeah, I did read somewhere as well when doing the research for this film that Bong Joon-ho wouldn't tell Patterson which clone he was actually going to be or which version of Mickey he's actually playing until just before he said action, so that way you see the confusion kind of thing with there, because that's what he wanted to capture is just like, am I this person, am I not this person?
Oh, sort of like after the printing or whatever, like so you have to kind of figure out who you are.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of, and like I know you haven't mentioned it, but I really liked his accent in this film. I don't know why. It was just like, it was fun.
Which accent?
The 17.
Oh, yeah. He said he kind of played it more like a Forrest Gump kind of character, right? So
yeah, because 18 was more like
assertive and stuff, right?
Yeah. But yeah, apparently 18 was the glitch one as well. But I know you talked about this. This is based on a book, but the book is called Mickey 7, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot more. There's 10 more Mickeys.
Yeah. And that's apparently why he called it Mickey 17, because he's like, I just wanted to kill Patterson 10 more times.
Which is cool. Like there's some definitely fun. I like the kills in this better than in the Monkey. Obviously, I'm talking about the Monkey because we just did our show on the Monkey. Watch the show on the Monkey. Don't watch the Monkey. Do you like Bong Joon-ho's work? Like, did you see Okja or
Okja? I haven't seen Parasite yet, even though that's the one. But I love Snowpiercer. Do you like the show as well? I've never watched the show. I just liked the movie. I thought it was awesome.
So I actually want to go back and check out some of his like older work like Mother.
Oh, sorry, I saw The Host as well.
You did see is The Host good?
Yeah, the host is really good.
So he's got a bunch of like neo noirs as well, like kind of like cop dramas. One like Mother is like about her developmentally challenged son gets accused of a murder, so she has to like go fucking let loose to try and find the real killer and stuff like that. I'm like, that's a cool take. I like that. So I want to, like I said, I want to go check out some of his earlier work because he seems to have done so. Obviously, The Host is kind of like a monster movie. He's got Mother. He's got a Mother and one other one that are like neo noirs. And then his original film, unfortunately, I don't have his IMDb in front of me, was again more of like a kind of like black comedy. So he's always got those sensibilities when he's coming into like filmmaking. I mean, Okja's not exactly like a monster movie, but he's dealing with like big creatures. He's dealing with the creatures in this. He is one of the designers of the creepers in this film as well. So I don't know. I did read some reviews where they basically said like this film is kind of like a hodgepodge of some of his other films together. I mean, Parasite is very cool. Parasite won, like he killed it with Parasite. It won the 4 Oscars for Best Picture, International, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay. Like that's pretty fucking big mountain to climb. I hope he took a lot of the money out of this budget for himself, because I don't know if they're going to let him have another fucking like $200 million to fuck around with in the future, especially just the way the industry is going, right? So
I hear you. Yeah, no, I hear you.
Do you got anything else? Because I got a little quote I want to leave on.
Oh, I can't wait for this. Hopefully it's from author Chris Langford, writer from Cambridge Today.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. We are also doing written reviews for Cambridge Today, so check those out. Christy Lemire from RobertEbert.com. What's frustrating is that I totally agree with everything Bong is saying. I just wish he were saying it with a touch more finesse.
And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com. So do you know who the original actor was before it was Patterson?
No, who was it?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Wouldn't he have been too old though? Like I feel like he's too old to be that character.
He's the guy who has like the fucking most kills.
I know.
I think it's him and Danny
Trejo. Are you just joking right now?
No, he was originally considered for the role.
I mean, if they had two Expendables, or like if they were, I think it would be cool to use Sean Bean if they were showing like the Expendable program, and like so they're like showing like he's the like OG guy that they were doing for these experiments.
So he was the serial killer guy?
No, not even that guy. But like when they were developing the technology in general, and then you could just like kill him, be like, Sean, how many times have you been killed in films? Okay, we're gonna fucking quadruple that, right? And just go like fucking buck wild. Oh, by the way, so so other stuff in Bong Joon-ho's filmography that you should check out. So Mother is a neo-noir, Memories of a Murder is a neo-noir, and then Barking Dogs Never Bite is the kind of like black comedy that he did. So if you're interested, check out those South Korean films. Yeah, he's a South Korean filmmaker, for those that don't know.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.